This segment is all about preparing your business for sale. Welcome to the program. I'm Mark Imperial, and this segment's brought to you by booksgrowbusiness.com. It's the place where busy professionals get their books published to educate consumers, to grow their businesses, and to leave a legacy. Joining me on this segment is Rob Amerine. He's the president of the FBB Group Limited. Rob, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Mark.
Tell us a little bit about your work, and specifically, who are the types of folks that you specialize in helping?
Yeah, we've been in business here in Colorado for 40 years. So we have a large breadth of businesses that we worked with that really are those that are looking to retire, but looking to transition. We've had serial buyers and serial sellers, where seller will sell a business and then buy another business, come back to us and sell it again. So it's a process that we run. It's very much it's flexible, but it's also very much of a vetted process that just maximizes what's at the closing table.
Tell us a little bit about the business owners that you work with. They're great at growing their business, but when it comes time to sell, how much thought do they really put into that, and how prepared are they to sell?
Well, we wish more were prepared sooner, and that's really what it's good timing for this, Mark, because we're really trying to reach out to those business owners and maybe trying to sell, preparing the business 5 to 10 years out is a good place to really start thinking about how are they going to exit, how are they going to, drive value in their business, and what are those value drivers? What moves the needle in terms of value, and then of course retirement. What number, what amount do they need to retire? What structure of the transaction do they need to retire? And so we're definitely talking to those, but it may be, burnout comes easy, not easy, but also very much before someone is ready, right? Maybe they're thinking they're going to retire 10, 15 years, but they're burnout in the next couple of years. COVID has created a lot of people they can't find the labor, they're burnt out, and that tends to affect value pretty quickly when you start to just coast and you're not really building the business as you were before.
When business owners consider selling their business, I'm sure there's a lot of information and maybe a lot of misinformation out there on the web. What are some of the perhaps preconceived notions or maybe myths or misconceptions that business owners might hold from doing research like that about how to sell their business?
Yeah, there's a lot on the internet, and there's a lot of programs out there that try to say, hey, you can do it yourself, or you can cut corners, or you can basically figure it out. And I think that's probably the biggest issue that we see is people try to do it themselves. They try to think that they don't need an expert, that they're saving on costs of hiring an expert, when really they're leaving money on the table, right? And it's hard to really understand if you have a business that sells for, say, could sell between $3 and $5 million. And where are you cutting corners and leaving that amount, maybe another $1 million on the table that would have been there had you had the right experts in place to go to market and prepare your business.
Let's unpack that a little bit. Can you give us some examples of maybe some common pitfalls or mistakes that business owners make when it comes time to selling?
Yeah, I think, I had a client that for 4 years tried to sell his business to both industry buyers and internally. And the light went on that he kept on going through the start and stop of all that. And basically, and he was a good contract guy. He understood him. He was a good business owner. But he finally realized that he's just not the best to represent his business. There's an emotional play on it. And it's also where he came to that realization. Now, we wish he had come to realization sooner, but he knew that he wasn't the one to do that. So it was really more of a then coming to us and saying, hey, let's run the process. And we were closing a matter of about 4 or 5 months with a buyer that he had already identified. So those are the pitfalls, I think, that really cause people that they put all their emphasis into one buyer, or they basically think that this is going to be it. And a lot of times it sounds too good to be true, and often it is. So when the reality sets in, they've wasted a year or two, trying to pursue that and that pitfall. And that can, if employees are finding out about this or whatever, it can really hurt the business. And it's a big risk to go down that path without an expert involved.
Great insight. Rob, what inspired you to get into this field and help business owners sell their businesses? How did you get started?
Well, I bought my first business in 2004 and had gone through the ups and downs of the whole, with the recession and everything else, raised angel funds and realized how hard it is. I was working the 100-hour weeks. I understood, and I can see when I'm sitting across the table from a seller that they're kind of in that same spot where they're just tired. They know that they've been working, and I think one of the things that I see more often than not, and I ask sellers this: are you the one to take it to the next level? Right? Everybody wants to grow their business. But are you really the one? Do you have the capacity? Do you have the mindset to take it to the next level? And all too often, these business owners are really thinking they're the person to do it, and they're really not. It's really that's the time they should really look at selling. I have a technology company right now that the guy, he's not ready for retirement, but he's come to that realization as well that he's not the one to take this business to the next level. It's a great business, it's got a great potential, but now we're on the market talking to the buyers that can grab that business and take it and grow it to the next level, and he can still be a part of it, right? So it's really a win-win for that standpoint versus them struggling year after year after year, and it's just never getting above that threshold, just because they're just not the ones to take it there.
Right on. Before I ask you my last question, in regards to selling a business in today's environment, is there anything I didn't think to ask you that you feel is important to share with business owners?
We like to say everybody wants to plan, but this is an event-driven business, and I think I was in a business group I'm in this past week, and even though people may not say, well, that's just too far out for me, I think you can never start planning too early about what would happen if you had to sell your business today. What would that look like? Because, health can come in, unannounced. There can be changes in the employee structure. There can be changes in the market. I mean, we lived that through the pandemic. So if they can really be honest with themselves about asking that question of what could I really sell my business today? And if you couldn't, for some reason, why aren't you making those changes now? Because that may be a reality at some point, maybe not tomorrow, but maybe a year from now, and maybe not in the 5 to 10 year plan that you currently have.
Sage advice. For business owners listening who would love to speak with you and perhaps get your help, how can they find you and connect?
Yeah, we're doing a lot of online. In fact, we're getting ready to launch a couple other landing sites, more educational based. But the main website that we have right now is FBB. So that is short for our initial name when we first started here 40 years ago, First Business Brokers. So FBB.com. We are now the FBB Group from that standpoint in terms of branding. But that's a great place. We have a lot of articles on there. I'm getting ready to publish another monthly update on the costs of selling a business and understanding those costs for people looking at possibly selling in the future.
Rob, this has been terrific. I really appreciate you taking the time to share with my audience today, and I wish you continued success for you and for all of your clients.
Yeah, I appreciate the opportunity, Mark. Thank you.
That was Rob Amerine, president of the FBB Group Limited, and this segment's been brought to you by booksgrowbusiness.com. It's the place where busy professionals get their books done and published to educate consumers, grow their businesses, lead their fields, and leave a legacy. That's all for now. I'm Mark Imperial, and thanks for joining me.